Okay, so we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions. So right now the example on the board is 1/2 plus 1/4. And I think a good way to start off by visualizing this is just going back to our, pizza slices pie kind of method. So here's 1/2 of we'll just say pizza, plus 1/4 of the pizza, and we're trying to see what that equals to. So the thing with this is that we can obviously kind of see that when we will move over this, 1/4 here, we're going to get 3/4. But how would we be able to just kind of know that without seeing the pizza? Well, the thing is, this 1/2 here can also be broken down. You can also cut the slice, right, and get us to 2/4. And of course, obviously cut the slice here. So it's in fourths. So if we do that, if we change this to 2/4 and then plus 1/4, we can kind of see that a little easier, right? Because now all we have to do is add the tops. 2 plus 1 is 3. That's what we did over here. And then keep the bottom, 3/4. So that's just the logic behind adding and subtracting. You want to get the denominators to be the same. So in this case, we visualize this as 2/4 and then wrote it down. And then you just add the numerators and you can keep the denominator the same. Okay, so another example that I'm going to give is going to be 2/7 plus 1/5. And this is kind of hard to visualize with the pies, right? Like, okay, 2/7, and then you're gonna put the 1/5. It's pretty hard. So let's just do this with the changing the denominator way. So we have a 7 on one denominator and a 5 on the other, but we need to make sure that these denominators are the same so that we can add the numerators. So how are we gonna get these denominators to be the same? Okay, well, you can find the least common multiple of the denominators, 7 and 5. And in this case, the least common multiple is going to be 35. And obviously there are other multiples, but that's just the least common multiple. So if 35 is the LCM in this case, then we're going to want to convert both these fractions to have a 35 on the bottom. And to do that, we want to multiply each fraction by some number on the top and bottom, by some other fraction with the same number on the top and bottom to get the denominator equal to 35. So in this case, we're going to want to multiply 5 by some number to get to 35, and in this case it's going to be 7, and then you're just going to want to put the same number on top. And we do that because we're not actually changing the value of this 1/5 right here, right? We're literally just multiplying it by 1. We're just multiplying it by 7 over 7, which is 1. And in this case, you're going to want to multiply this 7 by something to get to 35, and it's going to be 5, because 5 times 7 is 35. And because we put it on the bottom, we're going to have to multiply it on the top as well. And again, we're not actually changing the values of these 2/7 and 1/5. We're just multiplying it by 1. We're just changing the numbers a bit, like just changing how many slices are in the pizza. So in this case, we're again just going to multiply across. We're going to get 10 over 35 here, plus 1 times 7 is 7 over 35 here. And now, because the denominators are the same, we can just add the tops. So 10 plus 7 is going to be 17 over 35. Okay, one last example. Oh, actually 2 more examples. One last kind of easier example. We're going to have 16/25 minus 4/5. Okay, again, same concept. These denominators aren't the same, so we need to convert them to have the same denominator in order to combine the numerators, combine the tops. So what is going to be the LCM in this case? It's going to be 25. in this case. So this is going to be 25. So now we have to convert both of these denominators to be 25 and then combine the numerators. Well, thankfully this is already 25, so all we have to do is change up this fraction a bit to have a denominator of 25, and we'll be fine. So again, we're going to multiply by some fraction, which again is just going to equal really 1 when you really think about it, because 7 over 7 is 1. So 5 times what is going to get us to 25? Well, it's just going to be 5. So we're going to put 5 on the top and bottom. So now we have 16 over 25 minus, and then again, we're just going to multiply across. So 20 over 25, we're going to subtract, and we're going to get negative 4 over 25. And usually when you have a negative fraction, it's just customary, I guess, to write the negative either in the numerator or just in front of the fraction, but generally not in the denominator because it's just kind of, I guess, a bit more confusing. Alright, so one last example of adding and subtracting fractions. This one might be a bit harder than the other ones, but it's okay. So we have 2/3 plus 1/4 minus 3/5. Alright, so same concept. We want to get the lowest common multiple of all the denominators. So we're going to have to find the lowest common multiple of 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so in this case, if you want, you can write out, all the multiples of it, go through it all, 6, 9, do all that. But in this case, sometimes when you're working with a bunch of denominators, try just multiplying them all together, and then that's how you can get your lowest common multiple, because even if that doesn't end up being the lowest, you can just end up simplifying later, so it's fine. So in this case, it is the lowest common multiple, and it is 60 when you multiply it 3 times 4 times 5. So the LCM is going to be equal to 60. Okay, so if the LCM is 60, then again, we need to get all these fractions to have denominators of 60. And we can do that by tweaking the fractions. So 3 times something is going to be equal to 60, and that something is going to be 20. So we're going to multiply 20 on the top and bottom. This is 4 times something is going to get us equal to 60, and that something, it turns out, is going to be 15. So we're going to multiply 15 on the top and bottom. And then you're going to multiply 12 on the top and bottom here to get the denominator equal to 60, because 5 times 12 is 60. Okay. So, now we're going to... Sorry, Mr. Robbins is laughing heartily in the other room. Okay. We're going to multiply this all out. So this is going to be 40 on the top over 60, and we knew that. We knew that 60 is going to be at the bottom, is what I mean. This is going to be plus 1 times 15, so 15 over 60, minus this 3 times 12, which is 36 over 60. So now, again, we're going to leave the denominator. It's all 60, so we know the denominator is going to be 60. And then you're just going to add and subtract, just combine the numerators, I mean. So 40 plus 15 is going to be 55, and then minus 36 is going to get us to 19. So our answer is 19/60ths, and we know that that was the LCM because you don't have to simplify this anymore. You can't simplify it. But if this somehow ended up to be like 20 over 60, then you have to make sure you simplify that to 1/3. And you also know that your lowest common multiple was not actually the lowest. It was just a multiple.